Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, May 15th, 2019. Can't believe almost half of May is over already. 2015, is that what I said?
Yeah, no,
2019.
Yeah.
Wow, Ted. So I am here with my new friend, Ricardo Miller. Very excited to have him on the show. To his left and my left is Bonnie Shear. We got to give a shout out to her because she introduced us. Very excited to have you on the show. Rebecca, let us know you can hear us and see us, because that's the most important. Ricardo's got a lot to say. We got a lot of cool stuff. Rose Kemp, what's going on? Good to see you. Gert Garman's on. So give me a heart, a thumbs up, because you definitely want to hear what Ricardo has to say. He's got a really cool story and a great bio. And this is my first show of the day, so I don't know where our... Oh, see, Rose gave us a heart. There you go. Thanks, Rose. All right, Ricardo. So when Bonnie reached out, I'm a sucker for a good story. So Bonnie reaches out and she's like, "You've got to have Ricardo Miller on." And I'm like, "Who's Ricardo Miller?" And she sent me your bio and she sent me the information about you, and I was intrigued. So welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
All right, so give us a little background on you. They all want to know a little bit about you. If they've followed the tags that I did, hey Donna, then they'll know a bit, but you've got a whole bunch more behind that. So give them a little bit of information.
Well, yeah, Ted, to kind of start things off, I was raised here in Orlando. I was born in Hampton, Virginia. My parents both served in the Navy, Navy veterans. I have two brothers, one older, one younger. So I'm the middle child of three boys.
You're the middle child.
Yeah,
Nice.
so I got a lot of the heckling from being the older brother, and then sometimes I got the treatment of being the baby brother. So it all worked out some of the time. I always grew up in sports. So growing up as a kid, I was always involved in sports, whether it was basketball, track, football. Later on down the road.
Both brothers do the same?
So the oldest brother, my brother DJ, Derek, he was into track mainly, which kind of influenced me to want to do track more. And then with my little brother Chaz, he played basketball following in my footsteps. So again, kind of we played off
All
each
sports,
other.
all sports.
Sports family. And my mom, she actually, believe it or not, was invited to be part of the Olympic, I believe the '87 women's basketball team.
That's amazing.
But unfortunately, my grandmother at the time was a little bit strict and more into schooling, so she had to decline because of that. But she ended up going on to University of Michigan as well as me, which kind of influenced that decision.
I love that.
And,
that's how you got to Michigan.
Yeah.
I was like, how did a Florida boy get to Michigan?
Yeah, there's some Michigan ties there, as well as my aunt and family up there in Flint and in Romulus. So.
All right, so you are in sports. Obviously, you excelled at that. And then you took a lot of kids, they excel in high school, and then that's it. It's over then. You took it to the next level. You went college, and then talk about your experience there. What were you trying to accomplish? Did you want to be a professional athlete?
Well, I knew Ted, since I was a kid. Actually at the age of 5, when my oldest brother, I would play backyard football. With him, and just being with his older friends, and being excited to hang with them. And I'm 4 years younger, and they're like, wow, how is he so athletically gifted at this age? And I kind of carried that over into high school. Where I went to Dr. Phillips. I was the #1 receiver in the state of Florida. As a junior. Many guys, again they were seniors. And I kind of rose above them. And then it was funny because I actually transferred my freshman year from Freedom High School to Dr. Phillips. To better my chances of becoming a college star and potentially making the NFL. And from that jump, I didn't see the initial success that I wanted, which kind of frustrated me, which actually led me to quit after the second game of my sophomore season. I'll never forget it, but it took me, the determination I had in myself, and a little talk from Coach Harris, who was the freshman head coach at the time, that basically let me know that, Ricardo, I had way too much talent and too much of integrity to give up just because things weren't going quite as planned as I would have hoped transferring. So the following year, that summer, going into my junior season, I buckled down, I trained harder than ever, and I had a great turnout at the Michigan camp that I attended, which Rich Rodriguez was the head coach at the time. And from that, I basically had 60 scholarship offers after my first game as a junior, and that from that moment on, after the second game, which was coincidentally the same time the following year that I was going to quit, I committed to University of Michigan.
So what's great about that story is that you had somebody who basically came around and kicked your butt, right?
Yes.
They gave you an attitude adjustment because when you're in that, when you're in the throes of that, and it's something that's so important to you, it's something you've worked so hard for all of your life since you were 5 or before, and then all of a sudden you're not feeling it, something's not going right. I get it. I love the fact, because a lot of athletes don't like to admit that they quit or that they want to quit. So I love that you're willing to share that part. But you were lucky enough, blessed enough to have a mentor that said, listen, you got to get it together. You have a talent. Because a lot of kids don't have that. They don't have that person who's behind them. So what an important lesson for you. And then you sign up with Michigan, and then what happens there?
So initially when I got on campus, because I actually spent a year or a semester there as a senior, graduating high school early. So I graduated at 17 years old. It was amazing. Ann Arbor is such a college town. Amazing people. The campus itself is beautiful. It actually makes up pretty much the city of Ann Arbor. I loved my professors there, Professor Railton in philosophy, Professor Hutchings, in political science. Just everybody there was just so welcoming. My advisor at the time, academic advisor, Dwight Fontenot, we still sometimes, stay in contact through Facebook, and just the connections that I made there have lasted me, all throughout, my life so far. So
what did you want to do? First of all, I love the fact that you know all their names.
Oh, yeah.
You know why you know their names? They made an impact on them, so we remember those names. And I think it's important that we give gratitude, which is what you just did, for people that do that. So
Absolutely.
what was your ultimate goal? You wanted to go pro?
So my ultimate goal when I went to Michigan was to become the next great wide receiver there. I know that I was falling behind a lot of greats, Braylon Edwards, Jason Avant, Anthony Alexander, Anthony Carter, and just, Mario Manningham, if anybody knows anything about the Michigan tradition of wide receivers. And I wanted to follow in their footsteps. And honestly, Ted, just, the fact that I had the tradition to follow up, it didn't kind of make me in any way intimidated, because I always, wanted to rise to the challenges of life and really, see how far my abilities could go and measure up against great talent. But it was just unfortunate, though, that, because of the coach that recruited me as a freshman, he kind of got fired after, just my freshman year. A new coach comes in, Brady Hook, which, again, we still have a great connection to this day, just didn't really see and use my abilities and talents the way that I wanted. So I didn't quite have the, luxurious college career that everybody was hoping here in Orlando for me and myself, but I still made the most out of my life, as you can see now, talking to you.
So what did you do next? So it's not the illustrious, wonderful, it wasn't the goal, it wasn't the plan you had in your head. So what do you do once the plan is not working? What steps do you take, and what was the next thing that you did?
Well, kind of like what we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the interview, Ted, is like with FUD.
You got to define FUD, because I put it on there. So what does FUD mean?
Well, real quickly before I get off on a tangent, because when I start talking about FUD, I just really get excited.
You're good.
But yeah, so it's free unified dance, and basically it helps people overcome their fears, their uncertainties and doubts, in their life through positivity from the dance that they have in their mind, from what they decide is dance to them.
Just a physical dance, a mental dance, a combination?
It's a combination, but it's more so mental, because again, kind of like with me, what I went through, throughout my college, career, and even, what I'm getting ready to talk about now, which is my overseas international career, it helped me remain myself. It helped me to, retain, sustain, maintain, and never complain.
I love that. I love the title of the show, dude. So good.
My abilities as a person, because football is not my only talent, which again, that's something I'm going to talk about later. And I wanted to, be able to find ways to keep myself positive, and the best way I knew how is to use my gift that God gave me, which is dance. So actually, to kind of get back to what you had asked me earlier about, what I do after Michigan. So I ended up transferring out to the University of Massachusetts, which again kind of had the same result, where I didn't quite see the field like I wanted to, but again, didn't stop me and the other talents that I have to offer the world. I ended up actually playing in Brazil after that, a year later, and that was an amazing experience there, in the beautiful city of Caxias do Sul. In South Brazil. I made, family there that will last, para sempre, forever.
I love that.
And then a year after that, I then took my talents to Sweden, Uppsala, Sweden, which again,
Okay, you're going in a completely opposite direction there.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, Ted. I mean, with my life and how it's been over the years, I never really. I always believe in planning. Don't get me wrong. I believe that you have to have a plan for your life, but at the same time, that immediate action, living in the moment. That's just kind of how my life is, and kind of what FUD is. Listening to and feeling the natural rhythm that you have.
But you had to make some. These are big decisions. This is a big deal.
Yes.
So you go to Brazil. That wasn't part of the original plan, but because you have such a passion about football and your talent, and you know that this is what you want to do, you're going to follow that along wherever it takes you.
Absolutely.
But Brazil, okay, I get it. It's nice. It's spicy. You have a good time down in Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, you're in Sweden, though. So is this part of a football league?
Well, yes. So initially, as you leave college, a lot of collegiate athletes, they have the intentions of entering the NFL draft. And as I've mentioned in the interview so far, I wasn't able to have the career that would allow me to enter the draft to where I could actually become a draft pick. So, the unconventional way of, getting into the NFL would then be to be undrafted, which is what I was, the undrafted free agent. And at the time, I wasn't really getting a lot of love here in the U.S., which is not a problem because, again, I'm all about positivity, baby.
Sure.
So I always allow myself to see what's the next step, what's the next route that I can take. So what I did was I found myself going into arena football and Canadian football, and again, wasn't really seeing anything there. So all of a sudden, I get called up by Eduardo Freire. Again, he was the head coach or manager of Juventude FA, the team in Caxias in Brazil. And then a year later, Martin Soderberg, who was also the president of Uppsala 86ers, and they contacted me, and I was like, could I just sit here and rot, with all the talent and the positivity and the talent that I have, and not let that be seen? Just because it's not the NFL, or can I go out, make wonderful memories, meet wonderful people, network, and then who knows where that can take me? And that's exactly what I did.
I love that because I think you took a situation that wasn't part of your original plan, but you were thrown opportunities, you were given opportunities, and then you took them regardless. Just because you don't think it's part of your plan doesn't mean it's not part of the overall plan.
And real quickly, Ted, that actually gets into one of my words I live by is this, is that even though, it wasn't part of the initial plan, that we didn't plan it, we don't understand it, doesn't mean that God didn't have that plan already in motion.
Amen, my friend. Amen, that's right. So you just have to kind of, and whatever your beliefs are, like we're both obviously men of faith, but you have to figure out universe, whatever's speaking to you. Sometimes what you think is best for you, there are other plans out there, and if you're going to be stuck and just focus on that one thing that isn't working, you're trying to open that door and that door is shut tight, look for the other opportunities, which is what Ricardo did. Look, he went to Brazil. Obviously, I love to hear him say whatever he just said in Portuguese. Yeah, it was fantastic. And Sweden, right? So you want to talk about going all over the world? That's awesome. That was never part of what you originally wanted to do. All right, so I want to ask about the dance a little bit. Can we talk about that? Because I think it's important, right? But the dance is your life. So I think people are like, what does he mean by that? I should have looked up FUD, even though I knew that. Faith, you're right, Dallas. I should have looked it up a little bit. I didn't see any dance videos with you, but I mean, heck, I'm sure they exist, no doubt in my mind. I'm going to go look at those later. But it's actually for you. You like to dance, physically dance. This is something, but what you've done is you've added the mental part to it. So talk about how FUD developed. Talk about how that became your mantra, kind of like your calling card, the thing that you really wanted to talk about today, amongst other things. But that's what people are going to remember, FUD, and they're going to want to know why, and they're going to want to know how they can implement it in what they're doing.
Well, Ted, it's quite simple. FUD to me is what we all want to be, which is to live a life, full of happiness, positivity, and live it in the way in which we see fit. And so, like, growing up as a kid, I'd always, when there was music playing or, any kind of festival or party, and I would hear, just the beat or a sound that would resemble, me, like, being able to dance, I would do it. And so I never really understood what FUD was, because honestly, about maybe I say a month and a half ago, I didn't have the word, the acronym in my head. All I knew was that when I would listen to music, it empowered me. It brought out the most, most positive inner thoughts that I could possibly imagine of myself. And that's what we need more than anything in the world is positivity. Because think about it like this. When you are your most productive in life, or whether you're in your job, you're playing a sport, playing cards, whatever you're doing, whatever activity you're doing, you do the best when you're positive. You don't really get much done when you're negative, when you're angry, upset. So when I use dance to keep myself positive, like for example, if I'm exercising, which is something else I'll get into later, when I'm exercising and I feel like I don't have any more energy left, and I feel so weak and tired, I just think of like the most positive or most memorable moment when I'm dancing when I was a kid, in Miss Quinlan's second grade class, and it was a Halloween party, and I'm dancing with my friend Matthew in my Spider-Man outfit and just jamming out. And it's like, okay, now get back to that kid, now finish this set, finish this workout. And like that's the kind of examples that I use because, again, when you're positive, there's so many more outcomes and possibilities that can happen from that. But when you're negative, you kind of limit yourself, and you don't really become who you're meant to be.
I agree. I think that if you sit and stay in the mindset of negativity, then that is what you're going to get from whatever your beliefs are. You can't sit in that all the time. I love the fact that you went back to that memory in your Spider-Man outfit because I think a lot of us do that. That's where that happiness was. You get that. It's almost this freeing thing where nobody else is looking at you, nobody's caring, and you're not worrying about it. And I think we spend so much time worrying about what other people will think that we don't want to dance. I always joke that I'm the worst dancer on the planet, but when you're in that moment, it doesn't matter. But I love the fact that you're utilizing that as a way of motivating other people, inspiring other people, and inspiring yourself. So when you talk about the dance mentally, though, what I want people to understand is where you're at. How do you apply that? If somebody's stuck somewhere, if somebody's in a crazy situation, maybe they don't know what to do, maybe their dream didn't come true and now they got to figure out what the heck they're doing. How do you apply FUD for them, or how can you recommend to apply that?
So what I would say to them, Ted, is this. So I know, again, coming from my past history, with football and not having, the career that I dreamed of myself, I oftentimes would find myself in kind of a bit of a depression and a rut to where I would say, why is it that, I'm doing everything possible, to make my dream come true football-wise and have the opportunity to be in the NFL? Like, why is this happening to me? And when I would start having those negative, thoughts and doubts about myself, and the fears of, well, maybe I never may make the NFL, the uncertainty of what's going to happen next, I just immediately told myself, you know what, Ricardo, do what makes you happy. Do what allows you to, basically, find those abilities, that confidence in yourself, to continue on with the journey that you don't know where you're going to end up, but it's going to, work out for the best.
Right.
And so the way I would do that is by dancing. And when I tell you, Ted, that honestly, if Stan Lee was alive today and he made a Marvel character, I would call myself Hypetonic, because literally the way I get so hyped, I feel almost invulnerable when I dance because nothing can touch me. Like my comfort zone, which is something that I feel like a lot of people need to expand, not get out of. Not because I don't believe in, getting out of your comfort zone. I used to hear that a lot of times from coaches, and teachers, like, get out of your comfort zone. That's like telling me get out of a moving car and I'm the driver. It's like, no, I'm in control of the car, so I got to be the one to control, what's going on in my life, what thoughts I'm having. And so that's what FUD does for me. It's almost like my emotional release, whether it's negative energy, positive energy, I want to get out. I want to act out what I'm thinking. And that's why I would tell people, like, when you FUD, you're really introducing, the world, or people around you to who you are and what you're thinking about. Because if you're having a bad day, express that. Because who's to say that somebody might not come up to you and, want to be like, hey, do you need a shoulder to lean on? Do you need someone to talk to? Or if you're happy, it's like, man, like, what are you so happy about? I want to sit there. I want to, join in on this happiness. The unification, the unified part of FUD. And I can't tell you enough, Ted, how many people I've done that with overseas in Europe. Because again, I mentioned that I've played football in Sweden and Germany as well, and Brazil. But it was more so the memories I have of me dancing in Central, and all the people gathering around on the steps, watching me dance, and the little kids just jumping around, saying, "Mommy, look what he's doing."
Right.
And it's like, I want to do this too. And just those memories alone, are the ones that I, tend to, dwell on, that help me continue what I'm doing with FUD. And so it's more so, like I said, therapeutic than anything. When I feel like I'm having a down day and I can't get through, what it is I'm getting through. Because we all have bad days, Ted. We all have those times.
Listen, you guys, we come on the show and they think that we're all having a perfect life, and
No.
I'm just here to tell you every day we're not.
No.
We all struggle, we all have
Yeah.
issues, and so if we can provide any kind of tools like Ricardo's talking about for you to figure out how to process through that, Denise says dance feels so freeing.
Yes.
You're right? So, but a lot of people are caught up in the fact that they're afraid of what they look like. So for some people, it's actually terrifying to get out on the dance floor. But I love the fact that you admitted, and we all need to admit, that we're not perfect. We all have struggles, guys. And we're not, just because we're on the show and he's talking about this, and he's come up with this great acronym and this great meaning for him, and he's trying to impart it on you, does not mean that he doesn't have days where FUD, maybe he's like, God dog it, FUD. That's my thought process. FUD, because you have to build yourself up to it, but it doesn't mean that it's always perfect. Oh, look, I'm having a bad day, it's cloudy. I'm gonna dance. Sometimes you gotta get yourself there. You gotta motivate yourself.
And see, Ted, I'm glad you said that, because honestly, FUD is not just so much about always being happy and positive, but it's also dealing with those struggles, dealing with the learning process, learning more about yourself each and every day, and getting rid of those, as I think Jennifer had mentioned, Monday on your show, about, the garbage, the clutter.
Garbage. So much garbage, right? We have this clutter
in
in our
head,
brain.
and you just gotta eliminate all that, get it out of there, because again, you're never gonna see yourself the way you truly are meant to be if you have the outside voices, the negativity, the fears, the uncertainties, the doubts that come, from the world, from yourself. If you don't allow yourself, to not, be so caught up in those things and just see yourself for who you are, see where your life wants to go, because the alternative meaning of FUD, in my mind, is faith, as we both are, faithful men, God-fearing men.
Amen.
Faith in yourself, which is you, to dream. And you can't do these things if you have those things in your way. So, again, it's more so just dealing with your thoughts, mastering yourself. Because I believe, too, mastering yourself, you'll master the world. Because the world cannot bring you down if you're on top of it.
I love you, Rose Kemp. Yes, it totally makes sense. Thank you, Rose, for that. You're my fun, too. She said I'm her FUD.
Ah, yeah, see, Rose got it.
Rose knows how to dance, though. This is the problem. So tell us, before we get to where I believe you've got like this, it's kind of like a movement. I mean, FUD could be a movement. It could be something that catches on, which I think is what your ultimate goal is. You're teaching it. You're trying to impart that wisdom. What are you doing in the present? Are you still playing football? I know I'm going to have those questions later. So are you still playing football? Are you still in the sports arena overall? Or is this now, are you going to be coaching? Are you going to be imparting your wisdom, speaking? What's the next thing for Ricardo?
Well, Ted, again, kind of going back into earlier in the interview where, when football wasn't going right for me, I told myself I can either allow my, talents to rot and die, or I can let them prosper. And so what I decided to do is, I'm still in the process of, playing football. I'm making contacts each and every day. I train, 24/7, Monday through Friday, to keep up, that physical shape that I would need, in order to, play in the NFL or CFL, wherever, God takes me next. And so in the meantime, though, I decided to, further develop, my other talents and skills, because again, like they say, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. I want to continue to kind of really venture off into dance, into FUD, because I hadn't really in recent years. More so, it was like I said, it was for me. FUD was for me. It was only to help myself get through the journey that God had me on. So now I feel like it's my duty to share with the world what has helped me in my life, to stay positive and be true to myself, to share that with people so that now they can do that in the same and share that with other people around them to make it a movement, as you just mentioned. So I am still, like I said, in the process of playing football. I have not given up on that dream. So it's not to say that it can't happen, but I'm more so focused.
You never know, right?
You never know. I mean, if anybody knows that, it's me.
But I love that you're flexible enough to go with the flow.
I mean, and that's the thing. We all have to, just find our flow, find our rhythm, and dance to it. It doesn't have to be choreographed. Again, nothing against choreographers and dance instructors who teach, structured and routine dances. But I'm not a routine guy. I live my life, kind of on the fly, on the go. Let's just see where it goes, where it happens, where it takes me.
I love that.
And so, that's another thing, too. So I'm actually in the process now of training kids. I'm doing training camps here in Orlando, the Lake Nona and Oak Ridge area at Cypress Grove Park. with my boy Balin. Balin, if you're watching this, how
Hi,
you doing,
Balin.
bro?
What are you doing? What are you training the kids for? It's a sports camp?
So it's sports specific. It's mainly football, wide receivers, but it's not limited to just that. I can train pretty much about anybody, whether it's football, basketball, track, tennis, soccer, baseball, you name it. Because I'm a very functional kind of guy. I believe in you use your full body. You don't isolate movements or body parts. Although in my trainings I do that, but again, that's something that if anybody's interested later on the show, I can give all those information about. And Bonnie here to the left of me is telling me yes, she's a witness to that. She knows exactly what
Bonnie's
I'm
a
talking
conduit
about.
for all things. We love Bonnie.
And so yeah, Ted, so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm just,
love it.
I'm not giving up on football. I'm continuing my movement, with FUD. I'm training, youth kids as well as adults, in the fitness arena because I don't want to spoil it too much. I know I'm focusing on FUD today, but there is something else called FUF, which is Free Unified Fitness, which again, that's another topic for a whole other day.
Listen, you've got these acronyms that are good as long as you're practicing and preaching and learning. I love that.
So I don't want to give too much too fast, but yeah, so that's kind of like where I'm at, Ted. And I'm just, again, I don't know what's next. I don't know what's going to happen, even from this interview. I mean, who's to say, a football scout might see this.
You never know.
Let's give this guy a chance.
I've had them on. I've had the football scouts on the show. You never know what's happening. All right, so tell me a little bit, just real quick before we start to head out. I want to know what you want to do as far as teaching these people to dance a little bit, right? So I'm not trying to call you on the carpet, but dance is the big deal, right? So we've got a nice little camera view here. Do you have like a regular dance you do? Like, do you do the Ted, which they usually joke with me, it's like the old white guy shuffle. Do you have and I'm okay admitting that, I'm horrible at it. Do you have a specific dance? I'm owning my insanity. Yes, I'm owning my FUD. Do you have something that you do normally, or do you just go in and feel the music? And then what motivates you to get up there? Like, is it just because people are laughing? Of course you're laughing. You've seen me dance.
Hey, don't make fun of Ted.
It's all right. It's all right. I totally get it. But I do feel like that is freeing. When you are up there, somebody said it earlier, when you're up there, you're like, all right, what difference does it make? Is this the worst that's going to happen? Is people are going to point and laugh? I've had that happen on a daily basis. It has nothing to do with dancing. But what do you do? What do you encourage people? Do you get people up on a dance floor, and then do you have a specific thing that you're trying to teach them, or do you just let them go all freestyle?
Well, honestly, Ted, I know for me, I kind of like try to tell a story because even when I was a younger kid, I did a little bit of storytelling. And maybe that's kind of like the background that kind of helped me, further along or, kind of progress, what I'm doing with FUD and like kind of like my natural movement and what I think about when I'm dancing. It's more so just like being caught and just, succumb to the music. So like music for me, for example, is kind of like I said, a release, kind of like, acting out what I'm listening to. So I don't really have like a set of steps, although I do believe like when you do dance, like to start off with, everything is from the toes to the heel. So for me, whenever I'm trying to do my movements, I'm always conscious of, and I've been doing it so much like I'm not even conscious a lot of times. I just kind of just do it off rip. That I tend to I'm always on my toe, always on my heel, but I'm listening to the beat. A lot of people, I feel like they just hear music and they go which is fine. You're doing your thing, you're doing your Ted shuffle, whatever it is that you do.
Ted shuffle. That's exactly what it is. The shuffle for sure.
But that's the beauty of it. It's like you don't know what to expect. So kind of like what we've been talking about, expect the unexpected. You're kind of just going with the flow. I just go with it, because there's some certain moves, Ted, where I'm just like, where did that even come from? Like I mean, I just don't know, where my body's gonna take me. But that's the thing. Like when your mind is so free, and it's unopinionated, and you don't worry about what people are saying, how they're looking at you. You're kind of finding a focal point. Because I know in the gym, for example, the crunch that I go to in Lake Nona, people always see me I think I'm looking downward, but really I'm looking at an angle. Kind of like the angle I look at when I'm looking at a football to start on the line of scrimmage, before, the quarterback says hike. I look at that same angle and I kind of just envision what I'm listening to so I can dance to it. Because I feel like if I look too far up, I can see other people. And if I look too far down, then I can't see what's around me. Because I want to be aware of my surroundings. I don't want to just go dance blindly.
Right.
But at the same time, I want to be into what I'm doing. What am I listening to? what is driving me? Like you said, what is driving me? What's driving me is the music, because again, when I have that music in, I feel invincible. I feel like nobody can touch me. Nobody can tell me, what I'm doing wrong with my life. Nobody can tell me, oh, like, why is it that you haven't made the NFL? Why isn't that FUD hasn't become bigger yet? Why aren't you famous because of how you dance? I don't worry about any of that stuff. I just worry about the music, the moment, and just how much fun and positivity and FUD I'm having.
FUD. You're an old soul, Ricardo. I love that about you. All right, so we're going to share all of Ricardo's contact information, how you can reach out to him, how you can learn more about FUD. I mean, who doesn't want to learn more about FUD? We should have like a FUD dance-off. We should have a FUD event.
Hey, Ted,
right?
Honestly,
I mean, that would be
if you're ready to go right
fun.
now, I'm
We'll
always
try to book it for like a social, something fun where we can do FUD. I think that would be awesome. Because I think that message is so good. People need to hear it. They need to feel it. You need to kind of let go, guys. Look, I'm guilty of it too. So I'm not preaching to you. I'm just saying we all kind of need to let go. And what's a better way to let go than dancing? I love it. All right. So any parting words of wisdom for them? Anything you want to share with them before we head out?
I would just say, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this interview with Ted. I mean, it's awesome, being here with him. He's a great host.
Did it all, dude.
No,
you were awesome.
I mean, like, just like being around this guy. I mean, if you've not yet, seen him in person, like just his energy, it just makes it so much more comfortable to talk and be myself. So I couldn't ask for a better host and a better person to be here next to while I explain FUD to you. I would say this: I'm all about memories over money. Meaning that yes, we need money to live in a society where it allows us to pay bills and enjoy ourselves. But memories, they last a lot longer. Because I can go out and spend $20 right now, but $20 to go to a concert and do FUD, those memories from that, priceless. So that's something I want to say. And lastly, I want to just say, live how you dance. If you dance positively, if you're the happiest when you're dancing, when you shower or at home by yourself or on your walk, with your dog, whatever it is where you feel the most comfortable dancing, live like that. Because I promise you, you will find that those fears, those uncertainties, those doubts that you're experiencing will slowly go away, and you start focusing on what's most important, you.
Amen. Dude, that was really good. Like, I love to hear somebody who comes on and talks their passion. And that's why I love live, because you can't fake it. So the authenticity and the vulnerability.
What you see is what you get, guys.
Right there. But you know what? It's inspiring and motivating, and I think it's amazing what you're doing. And we want to take the FUD movement a little further. So look for some stuff. Hey Jerry, we want to take it, expand on it. He's already ahead of the game. You've been a joy to have on, Ricardo. Honest to God, big shout out and love to Bonnie Shear to the left for bringing Ricardo here. You never know. I've just met him. So here you go. Great energy, an old soul. Don't you want to hang out with that? Don't you want to learn from that? And that's what the TED Show is all about. So thanks for coming on. We FUD you. Mwah. We'll see you later.